Right, welcome back. So, before we get into the good stuff, so you might say, before we get into really learning about candle magic itself, there's something so important that we have to cover, and that's fire safety. So, we're going to focus on what fire safety looks like for candle magic. But you want to put this into practice and also use your common sense that you gain from this anytime you're working with the element of fire. It becomes deadly so incredibly fast and or well, really like any element, you can't control it. We have to take this responsibility when we're working with candles, when we're working with candle magic. The first thing you want to think about is always choosing a safe location for your candle setup. You don't want it to be near curtains, near books, or anything that's flammable. You want to make sure that you're on a stable, heat-resistant surface, so you can use a ceramic plate or a tray. I have a couple that I go between. And then you can actually, as an example, I have this ceramic plate that I use for burning bay leaves on. Again, there is fire and little things pop. So having this plate here is really good for kind of buffering that zone. It's also really good to have a plate like that for when you have wax stripping, because there are a lot of candles. There's votive candles and tea lights. Those tend to be in containers themselves and will contain the wax. But tapers, pillars, and figure candles are examples of candles that do not have that. So you need to have a safe space for that candle wax to drip onto. So let's see. You also want to think about, um, well, not just where your candles are sitting, but you want to consider the space around them. Okay. So for instance, I don't want to burn candles with this robe on because there's a lot of loose clothing. You want to be very aware of what you're wearing, of your hair, and other things of that nature when you're burning. And on that note, also, if you have children or pets, very conscious of that as well, making sure they're not within reach, or you, well, not or, and you are keeping an eye on your flame, which is imperative regardless of if you have children or pets. You also want to make sure that you have fire extinguishing tools on hand. So this could be a fire extinguisher. You can get a small one to keep in home, which is a great idea if you have if you are practicing candle magic or working with the element of fire often in your home anyways. Another example is a bucket of sand or even a large bowl of water. And I know we also have a fire bucket in our home as well. So just really having tools for safety and also putting that fire out. And then another big one, I already touched on this, but it's so important. So I'll say it again, never leave your candle unattended. If you're leaving the house, even if you're leaving the room, or if you're going to sleep, snuff out your candle. And don't blow out your candle, because blowing out your candle can be very dangerous as well. Again, fire is such a wild element, right? It is not controllable by humans. So you want to make sure that you get a candle snuffer. I've even used the tops of like other candles that I had bought before I started doing candle magic, using those tin lids to put out the candle, or like a bowl or something, a fire, fire safe bowl, just to block out that or oxygen enough to put the flame out. But you can also buy snuffers specifically for your candles that are honestly a lot more effective for any kind of flame, for candles, for candles. And usually you can find them under $10, maybe in your local Mystic shop, or definitely on Amazon. Anywhere online, you can definitely find them for like really easily. And so this also prevents hot wax from splattering if you like, as opposed to blowing it out, right? You can blow hot wax, and then you can also minimize the smoke by using a snuffer. So another thing to point out is when your candle spell is complete, or when you're like putting the spell out, you want to make sure you're handling these remains with care. If your spell is built to banish something or release something, so say you're releasing trauma or you're banishing bad energy that was put upon you, remove the wax remnants from your property, because it's very symbolic energetically of taking that energy away from your home, right? If you leave it on your property, if you dispose of it on your property, then it's still sitting in your area. And then it's definitely best to use beeswax, and I'll cover this more in the future, but I definitely promote using beeswax above all, but soy wax is another option. Definitely preferable to use those natural waxes. And with beeswax, for sure, you could even bury that in the ground. So say if you did a spell to bring something to you, or for protection, or really anything that isn't banishing something, you can actually bury it in your backyard because it's beeswax, and you can bury any herbs or oils that you used with it as well because it's natural. So you're returning it to the earth, and you're thanking the earth for what it has offered you. But again, with fire, this is something that we have to be very careful with. We have to be very conscious when we're acting and practicing with fire. So keep your eye on it. Be aware of your surroundings, of the surroundings of the fire. No long hair or loose clothing, no drapes, no paper, anything like that that is easily flammable, to where something could catch fire, because it can happen so easily and it can get out of control so easily. So again, making sure you have fire extinguishing tools nearby when you are practicing the craft with fire. And there's going to be more information, a little bit more in depth. You'll find that in your Candle Magic Guide. So please be sure when you're going through that guide, read the whole section, and you can refer back to it anytime, because fire safety is of the utmost importance when working with candle magic. Thank you. And next we will be discussing what candle magic is, tools often used, and even how to pick what you're going to use in your candle spell. So thank you so much. I will see you on the next recording.